as Mirna mentioned, I'm an advisory board member at Fintech Galaxy, and I'm pleased and pleased and humbled to join you during this session as part of Hack Week, the Pitch to Win session. I prepared a few slides that I use regularly in similar sessions, but ideally we will be allocating some time for questions as well, and you can reach me out at any point of time. Those are my contacts for any questions related to such topics. Again, my name is Rami Al Karmi. Those are my social media handles. So Rami Al Karmi at LinkedIn and Al Karmi on Facebook and Instagram. I'm known to be someone who responds fast on digital channels, but I don't answer my phone. So just as a quick disclaimer. I started off, I'm just giving you some quick background. The first time I got introduced to entrepreneurship is when I attended the Presidential Summit on Entrepreneurship back in 2010. I was one of the 14 Jordanian delegates to attend the program. Following that, I went to UC Berkeley I put myself back into school at 2010 to do a venture capital executive program. And since I've been doing many disruption-related and ecosystem-related work with innovation, entrepreneurship, and what have you. I worked a lot with Steve Blank, the guy behind the 4 Steps to the Economy and the Startup Owner's Manual. And at the point of time, most of the organizations that I run, I made the lean startup model, the main operating model of those entities. So this is a copy of one of my desks where all employees have to read the whole book before starting their first task in the organization. I also do lots of engagements with my dear friend Alex Osterwalder, which is the guy behind the business model canvas. He wrote, there's another 4th book as well. So the business model generation, value proposition design, and his latest book is the Invincible Company. I'm also a member of the cross-industry innovation group within NASA. We've been attending, it's basically a closed group of around 50 chief innovation officers from across the globe. We connect once a year at NASA in Houston, and we basically exchange ideas of how do you basically copy ideas of innovation from different industries into each other. This is my lovely team. My day-to-day job is I'm the Chief Innovation Officer at Jordan Ahli Bank and the Chief Innovation Officer at Jordan Ahli Bank and the CEO of Ahli Fintech, and this is my amazing team. They're saying hi. And I'm a proud advisory board member at Fintech Galaxy. The most important note you need to know about me is that I'm a Gemini. So there's 2 of me. And I try my best to be the guy, the nice guy. But just to be clear, I did not wear makeup. This is an artificial intelligence engine model called the neural style transfer, where you copy 2 images, blend them into each other via AI. And I will tell you in a bit why would we think of this. In most of the cases, you will need to look at patterns out there, business model patterns, and you will come up with models where you blend those models together. And if you just noticed, I gave you a quick idea of myself without I hardly wrote any text on my background. I used only visuals, and we will be talking about this during our pitch. So stepping into the pitch, in my model, I split the art and science behind pitching into 2 parts. One I call the hardware and the software, just playing with words. There's no hardware and software in pitches, but just for you to get the idea, especially that we have a geeky audience. So the hardware is our pitch deck and what the work we put towards building the actual slides. And the software is how do we present the pitch deck and how do we act during the pitching session. So we'll start now with the pitch deck, and I have a rule which will help you memorize what does the model look like. It's called 5 by 10 by 30 pitch deck. So the 5 by 10 by 30 is a way for you to memorize what I will just tell you but technically the 10 is an 11, so there's 5 by 11 by 30. 5 is our number of minutes for this pitch deck. So you have 5 minutes, and you need to practice and time both your slides and your presenting skills to make sure that you convey the message within those 5 minutes. So sometimes you get the opportunity to pitch for 20 minutes, and then you go, you have to plan accordingly. So ideally, your 5-minute pitch is completely different than your 20-minute pitch. You plan according to the time allocated for you by investors, by demo day, by judges, and what have you. The 11 slides are your pitch deck, and we will be going through the slides and what needs to go into those slides versus not. Because my slides are on, I can't see the chat, so I will be going through them towards the end, or maybe the team can help me with whatever is on the chat.
No, Rami, that was me actually. I can see the color code on the screen. I don't know if others can see that as well. I was just asking you to remove it.
What color code?
There's a color code on the screen. I don't know. Anyways, don't worry about it. Just keep
Table
going.
like colors.
Yeah, we all see the colors. It's written.
You all see that? Okay, okay.
Yeah.
What is it?
Coloration panel.
Okay.
Yeah.
This?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, on the visual. Yeah.
Okay.
Now it's
yeah, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Right. The 30 is the minimum font size allowed. So you're not allowed to use any font size below 30. So now we step into our pitch deck. We have 11 slides. Melissa was very kind enough and the team to share with you different templates for each type of hackathon. So I'll walk through the structure and with a few comments on each slide and what is supposedly within those slides. You definitely open up with slide number 1, which is your main screen. It should clearly have your logo, even if you're still at idea stage. You create a logo, you have the company name, and you clearly mention the founder's name. The assumption that we should remember who the team members are, or you mention them inside. Just remember this. The judging panel is out there to see a number of startups together. They will forget. They might not have enough attention span to focus on all details. So some of the details, although they might look trivial, but they are very essential. So the logo, company name, founder's name, and your contacts is your opening slides. And this might sound like a trivial comment, but if I got a penny for every presentation presented in front of me without the opening slide, Slide 2 is the problem/opportunity. And this is your opening slide right after the introduction. And you're expected to let the audience or the judging panel feel the size of the problem, okay? So if you are successful, you will let me feel the pain clearly. And by that, I mean, no matter how, so there are 2 types. There are aspirin types of pain, so nice to have, a need, versus a real pain. And this is irrelevant of the product. This is something that you use around your business model. So if your value proposition is solving a real pain, and there is someone currently going through this pain, then your solution, once the solution steps in and removes the pain instantly, then you have the ability to charge a real premium on your products. If you try to create something new, that does not mean there is no pain. Whatever you create, even if it's new, it tackles a pain. And this is this slide is a very interesting slide. If you are able to nail the pain, then you score really high. The following slide, slide number 3, is your solution. And the way I feel the solution should be presented, it's basically how do you is your solution something that lets the pain disappear instantly? The minute the solution runs through that, provides that, then you have a nice click. You just started with pain, the problem, the solution comes in to remove the pain instantly, and now as an investor, I'm listening to the pitch, I'm all ears. What you're saying makes sense. Slide number 4 is about the ability of the team to deliver. So team members, and clearly we don't want to have CVs under each team member. We just need quick background or whatever few lines that clearly show what is the value of the team, of the current team member as part of the team, and how would they basically remove any risk in the investor's mind that this team cannot deliver the promise. Okay. In some cases, you will be missing some team members, and this is when you bring in advisors as team members, but don't show up with a team, for example, building an AI platform whereby the AI solution is outsourced and you have no one on your team with an AI or data science background. The simplest way to overcome this ability challenge is you bring in an advisor, you recruit an advisor, and you have them as a part of your team. Number 5 is your business model canvas. And basically the business model is the simplest tool to communicate what is the business, how does the system of the business operate. And there are a few common mistakes that people sometimes go through. Alex Osterwald calls the first one cognitive murder, whereby you just present the screen with all the data available on it. So you're just killing the brain. You're just asking everyone to read all those details at once. The simplest, best approach is presenting a business model canvas is using a story model. And I usually love using sticky notes. So I can, even if on PowerPoint, just get this similar image to this, a picture of a sticky note with some text on it. And you start by presenting a story, and you show the sticky note, the relevant sticky note, when you mention it. So you start with the value proposition, and you say my customer segment, for example. Then you show the customer segment gets, and you show the value proposition in return of paying, and you show the revenue stream. The way we reach our customer is through the channel, and you describe the channels. We keep and grow our customers, so the customer relationship is X. And then you move into the second side. So our key activities is we do business development, for example. We do this, we do that. And we do that based on our key resources. You describe your key resources. Then to complement what we do, we need the following key partners. You describe the key partners, and accordingly our cost structure looks like X, Y, and Z. And this is how we describe the canvas. This is a presentation. You don't need to have all what I just said as text written on the canvas. By all means, avoid bullet points on the canvas. Every point needs to have its own sticky note. You can illustrate, you can have a simple drawing, you can use keywords instead of full sentences. Remember, you are presenting the slides, you are not asking the people to read your slides. So start with sticky notes and make them disappear when they're not mentioned. So don't end up with a huge canvas that has lots of data on it. The technical infrastructure is slide number 6, where this is definitely, those are all technical hackathons. So you are required basically to explain your technical stack and try to avoid bulky components, black boxes that are not clear. So come up with clear components that are simple to understand. Focus on your API stack as well. If you have clear microservices integrated with your stack. And definitely when you look into your API structure, focus on, this is a tip, focus on the API sandbox, the Phoenix 2020 sandbox, and show us which components are built in within the sandbox, whereby how easy it is to go live from the platform the minute you unplug from the sandbox and connect into the live environment. You might be tempted to build some components internally while those components are on the sandbox, but remember, for interoperability, if upgrades take place, you are automatically plugged into a sandbox, which is the standard for all the banks that are on the platform. So the minute the platform upgrades, this is reflected across all the banks you're connected to. So avoid the temptation of building your own components if they are available on the sandbox. Again, this is slide number 6, technical infrastructure. You plug in into components available on the sandbox, while the stuff you build, you clearly identify those building blocks within your platform. Number 7 is the most important slide in your pitch. If I'm on a judging panel, that is the most important thing I focus on, because especially in our part of the world and in most of the startups, we assume that we build a product, we have an amazing value proposition, and then customers will start landing onto our platform without putting any effort. Go-to-market strategy is something we miss, we forget, while the main question you need to answer is, there are two clear questions that you need to answer within go-to-market strategy. What is your approach? So who are you selling to? Who is the decision-making? What is the decision-making unit? Who are you pitching to? And what is the channel? That's question number 1. Question number 2 is your roadmap. You are starting, for example, with a door-to-door approach. You knock doors and you have a direct sales team, for example, for your product. And then you move into digital marketing. Part 3, you move into distribution. So you plug into a partner that is already connected to a number of banks or a number of customers or a number of what have you. So this roadmap, this is an example, moving from direct sales into digital marketing into a distribution model. This type of roadmap needs to be clearly shown within the strategy. And again, repeating point number 1, who is the decision-making unit? Who decides? Is it an individual? Is it a household? So the wife, for example, decides. Or is it an organization? So the decision-making unit is the head of the line of business or the procurement manager or the CEO or what have you. Who do you pitch to? Who signs up? Who decides? And what is the channel for reaching those decision-making units? Slide number 8 is clearly how do you address digital marketing and what is your social media strategy. Ideally, I would love to see within time, now this is a hackathon, but within time, I would love to see a clear conversion model between how do you address the different stages of the customer within the funnel up till the conversion of this customer as an actual paying customer. Slide number 9 is your timeline and future roadmap. So this is clearly your milestones and what are you planning, what have you done and what are you planning to do within the coming years. And slide number 10 is 2 parts, your ask or your financial needs. And I usually love slides that break them down under the main 4 categories: general and administrative costs. So your permits, your setup, your legal, your rent, or what have you. Don't pay rent now. Everything is online. Part 2 is your outreach. So business development, marketing, sales, and what have you. So any costs related to that. Part 3 is your product development cost. So actually building your product and what cost goes into that. And part 4 is any form of employee compensation, be it incentives, payroll, bonuses, revenue shares, ESOPs, whatever goes into employees. So general and administrative costs, outreach, marketing, business development, and what have you, product development, and employee benefits. So that's your ask. So for example, you tell us, my ask is $500,000 investment broken down under the 4 components, and you split the cost according to those 4 components. In terms of the financial projections, basically there are 5 main KPIs that you need to focus on across the years with your projections. So your number of customers, your number of employees, that basically customers shows an indication of growth. Employees has a reflection of both the growth and the expenses. Sales, expenses, and then profit equals sales minus expenses for you to explain your model. One final interesting point under this is remember we are presenting a story. So your go-to-market strategy, whatever you presented under that strategy, has to reflect on your financial projections. You can't assume all of a sudden year 2 your sales jump up without a change in your go-to-market strategy in year 2. So whatever you described earlier in the go-to-market strategy slide has to clearly sync with your story on slide number 10. And slide number 11 is your thank you slide. This is where you end the presentation.